imagine that the decision making in your organization was done in a group like this. What would be some of the benefits and some of the challenges? I'll just take a couple of comments from that. What do you think?
So one benefit would be lots of opinions, lots of information, lots of viewpoints.
Lots of input, a variety of input.
It'd take a long time.
Take a long time.
Difficult to
Difficult to come to a consent or a consensus. Yeah. So yes, decisions in a large group. The benefit is the diversity of opinion. The challenge is how are we going to get to a decision. Jennifer mentioned, or we both mentioned, that we live in a cooperative housing community, and this is how we would make decisions. Our entire group would get together, and it was really hard. Okay, now I want you to get into groups of 6. You can just form little groups of 6. It could be 5, but don't go for 7. Don't go for 7, just go for 5 or 6. And quiet down. If you can hear the sound of my voice, raise your hand and quiet down. If you were making decisions in this way, what are the benefits and what are the challenges?
It won't take so long.
It
Won't take as long as the big group.
It won't take so long as a big group. In your smaller group, you can make a decision more quickly. What else about the smaller group?
may not have enough information.
You may not have enough information. Over there?
But we have an even number, so you can size.
If you're voting, yes. If you're doing a voting process, yeah. Which reminds me, in the larger group, I was imagining consensus, but if you were doing voting in the larger group, there would be 51% perhaps winners and 49% losers.
If you were using plurality, but of course,
Yeah.
you need not use plurality voting.
Right, so you can, so the supermajority and other forms of getting more people involved in the decision-making process than simple 51% is approaching towards sociocracy, because we want no one ignored. The 49% are ignored in the simple majority that we have. So what works in these small groups is you can come to a decision more quickly. You also know each other. You all instinctively started, introducing yourselves to each other. So you become a group within a sense of identity, a sense of history. If you're working for a long time, you know each other. And you know each other's little foibles and strengths. This person kind of takes a while to talk, and this person, doesn't say that much, and you can support each other to quiet up or speak more. So that's some of the benefits of working like this. Now, I would like, how many groups do we have here? I want, Pat, can your whole group come this way? and just, do a straight line, just backing up right from Pat. And here, Evie, would you come here and have your whole group line up behind Evie? And we'll have, sir? Justin, would you come here and have your whole group line up behind you? And Adriana, over here. Okay, and line up behind her. So, now this might look familiar. What does this look like a little bit?
The rockets.
A rocket? So, right here, what I'm just looking at is the traditional hierarchical system. Here, I'm the CEO. Here are my vice presidents of the different departments. And there's your department. Right? All the way down to the one at the end. So what works well about this? And what works well about this structure and for decision making in a structure like this, and what might be challenging?
You can always blame up.
You can always blame up. Or down. I didn't know what was going on in my huge bank. Somebody else below me was stealing the millions, Anything else?
You can get input. Multiple input.
You can get multiple input.
Faster flow of top-down communication.
It's what?
Faster flow of top-down communication.
Faster flow of communication. Yeah, make it so. Boom, boom, boom.
It supports autocracy.
It supports autocracy, which you may like or may not like.
I think of that game
By the time it gets there, you know, yeah, so who knows what happens by the time it gets there, what the delivery is going to be. And what do I know about what's going on over there? If I ask Pat, how's your department going?
Awesome.
Awesome, right? So there's that desire to, you know, you're going to have to please the boss, and it's going to be hard to say, well, I'm really struggling with our department. We don't know what we're doing. It's very hard to really be honest about what's going on, and it's part of the challenges with corporations and all the scandals that they have, and government as well. Okay, so, and if we had enough room, I'd want to sort of line all of the other groups as kind of branches off the end, right? Because that would be, like, this group would be a sub-department of this one, right? So you can imagine all the sub-departments? Okay. So now what I would like, and this, okay, so we said this is the administrative team, the leaders. What I'd like is for each of the lines that are focused here, I want you to, the person in the back, to kind of curve around and come here and join us in the middle, but bring the rest of your group around with you. So you kind of form a little petal, a little. Yeah? Okay, come on in.
Here, right? Clovers.
Okay, yeah, it's a 4-leaf clover here. So, can the leaders, the first two people who are first leaders, just step in for a moment? Okay, these are the operational leaders of the different departments, and this is how I'm explaining sociocracy now. These are the operational leaders of the departments. So when we're doing things, getting things done, this is the people that I would be talking to. But when we want to make policy in this group, we would also bring in the delegates from the different departments. Well, I'm going to pretend that you have selected the delegates, and they are the people who are at the end of the line. You're now joining in, so come on in. So this is what we call the general circle. The general circle does the coordination to make sure that, well, and maybe you can imagine, what would be, well, one more thing. So here we are, general circle. We have our work to do here. And then, okay, turn and face your circle. And now you do your work there. Okay, turn back. And now we do the work here. So do you see what's happening with that, with the information flow? Tell me what you see in this.
Redundancy.
Redundancy? Can you explain what you mean by that in this context?
You have two people, so if one's sick, it can still happen.
Uh-huh. So redundancy. So if one is sick, it can still happen.
Well, on a business trip or whatever, or vacation or that, right?
Yeah, some of it might be, there's two people who can speak for the department if one of them's out. But even more important than that, particularly in traditional hierarchical contexts.
Different perspectives.
Different perspectives. Because in traditional kind of sociocracy, where you're working with a historical hierarchical organization, we have the leader. The leader is selected by this group, which includes a delegate from that department. So the leader of this department is selected by this group, and part of this group is this person who's been chosen by consent by that group.
Do you still have one boss in the middle, or?
CEO or whatever,
Yeah,
whatever.
you would still have a CEO in the traditional form.
'Cause then so then you still have the issue of wanting to please the CEO, even the delegate and the other person.
Yeah. So imagine that, again, I'm going to speak just traditionally first and then say something else. I'm not showing here the top circle or the board of directors, because this is the management team. So the board of directors selects the CEO. This group selects a delegate from among this group to serve on the board. And so one of you would also be on the board selecting who the CEO is.
It's very circular.
It's sometimes we call it circular hierarchy.
Would it be one from each of our groups or from this
One
one?
for each department, wouldn't it be? Like,
No, on the board of directors, it would only be one leader and one delegate. So supposing you choose Sham. So Sham and Jerry would be serving on the board of directors. On the board of directors, we have equal consent rights. I have no more power than Sham does on that, at that level. And when we make policy here, even though I'm the CEO, I have no more power than any other person in this circle because we're making decisions by consent. Once we make a decision by consent, then I'm the one who's responsible for carrying it out. Just like Pat, when that circle makes a decision by consent about the policy that governs their work, then Pat is responsible for making that happen and supporting her team to make that happen. But she is operating within the parameters of the policy that her group has made by consent. The same thing as I'm doing here, that we're all doing here.
So if the CEO is capable of firing leaders, or the leader of a department is capable of firing members of the department, there's an inherent
Yeah.
coercion.
I am not capable of firing individuals.
Now,
The group, yeah, hold on for one moment. Because the group is selecting, this group is selecting Pat. If every circle has authority around who its membership is. So if this group selects Shem, and we go, that's not going to work. There's some problems with dynamics and around that, that's not going to work. Please find another delegate. Because we have choice about who is going to join this group. And if we select, Evie as the leader of that group, and that group says, oh, I don't think so. We don't want that person as our leader. It's not going to work for us. Choose somebody else. That can come back to us and say, okay, we'll need to find somebody else. Because every circle has choice about who its members are. Even though once we've made those choices and we've got policies, then we carry out the work according to whatever role you've got. And those roles are all decided by consent in terms of what the authorities are. Including some circle might have the authority to do some hiring. You're going to put hiring in whatever circles or multiple circles, so those choices are still going to be made by consent about what the policy is about hiring and firing, because that may be necessary. And there will be policies that govern that.
The CEO has no additional, like what you were saying about pleasing the CEO, and it's by consent, not consensus.
Right.
So the question, the CEO may still prevail on the group saying, can we work with that as a leader, or is that okay versus?
So, yeah, one of the other aspects is, because it's like Agile, is the level of feedback. We're looking for continuous, as much feedback as we can get. So when I ask here, before I ask Pat, how's your department going? Awesome. Now I ask Shem, how's your department going? So now I'm getting more, it's more transparent, more truthful, more information about what's going on. So in a sense, the performance reviews or role improvement reviews, how am I doing? We'd hear from everybody here in this circle, Jerry, here's what you're doing well, here's what you're not doing so well, here's some strategies for your improvement. Great, now I've got my, my development plan and I can keep doing that. And hopefully we get continuous feedback about that. Every meeting ends with an evaluation, so there's a chance to, check out about the process as well as the productivity of the group. So feedback is really critical to all elements. Is that, how am I doing with time? Yeah.
So how do you break groupthink? I assume that maybe they've been making decisions for a while, that people... How do you break groupthink?
So when you say groupthink, meaning, thank you.
The desire to keep the status quo.
So people playing it safe. Is that kind of what it means? How do you break people playing it safe? Well, one aspect is, what's the danger? See, by making decisions by consent and by doing rounds, we do a lot of decision making, a lot of dialogue is in rounds, meaning each person gets a turn. So it's not debate style, and debate style stifles communication. Sometimes it brings up some creativity, but often it stifles the creativity because this one person speaks a lot and often, and this other person doesn't speak very much, and you don't know what brilliance they're holding. And in consensus style or in many meeting style, it's like, okay, I see a hand here, here, and here. And you three speak, and then I see a hand here, here, and he wants to speak again, and those three. And it winds up being a debate process rather than people actually listening to each other. So when you do consent, and you're doing a round, okay, I'm going to hear what Pat has to say, hear what Adriana has, we're listening to each other. And it creates more of a space. I think it creates more safety for people to speak up. And knowing that the decisions are not in the hands of one person. I'm not going to fire you. I can't fire you. So it's going to be more of a collective action. It's like this person is really becoming is hindering our capacity to do the work for us, not for me. And just because I have a personality issue with you doesn't mean that I'm going to get to fire you, because the group's going to say, hey, look, you've got an issue, you've got to deal with it. Because we value Joel. We're not going to, drop him just because you're having a hard time.
To challenge that, it does seem that by being able to select people out of the circle, that you do have the ability to create the echo chamber and just get rid of all the countering views and opinions very easily.
Yeah, I guess that's a question that comes up, and I don't think of it as very easily, because you're going to have to say it out loud. There's no secret ballot here.
You can make up all kinds of reasons why.
Yeah, but you're going to have to convince, here we are, you're part of this group.
Right.
We're going to make a decision by consent to eliminate somebody, to remove somebody from this group. On what basis? On the basis that their presence is challenging our capacity to move towards the aim of the group. So you're going to have to make an argument about that and say, this is why I want to propose removing this person. And we're going to go around and say, well, here's how I think about that, and here's what I think about that, and we're going to hear, all the information from the whole group. So if you are persuasive, and everybody else is like, well, of course he's persuasive. We've all been wondering when we could finally make this decision, because this person is so difficult to work with, then it'll be easy. But if there are people who are saying, well, no, this person's productive, and I think there's something going on, personality between the two of you, or something else, or we see there's a witness. We witness that there's an issue here. We witness that something needs to happen. So let's figure out what the plan is. Maybe this person needs to go to nonviolent communication training. Pat and I here know each other from way back when, from nonviolent communication, or something else. So what can we do to support this person's participation in this group through some more technical training, communications training, whatever it is that will help this person be a productive member of the group.